don't know what you were talking about.
Pelicans win 119-108 over the Houston Rockets. Improved to 24-14. This podcast is sponsored by the Birdsall Law Firm, the official injury lawyers of Boot Crew Media, located at 918 Poydras Street by the Superdome. Give them a call at 504-523-5413. Birdsall Law Firm, the official injury lawyers of Boot Crew Media, and of course, DraftKings, the official sports betting partner of the NBA and Boot Crew Media. Use code BOOT, as you see in the bottom right. But join with Chaz, Lito, and Ross. Lito, I'll start with you tonight. Before we got on the stream, and I totally agree with Chaz, there's not really much you could take out of this game tonight, but it's a win. And it's a win without Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson. Especially, you need these type of wins before you're about to go through this brutal stretch. I mean, you're playing Denver, Minnesota. You're I don't know, Minnesota's like, but you're playing, Miami twice. Like, I know they're not playing great right now, but you're playing some pretty good teams. The Mavericks, the Nets, who are one of the best teams in the league now. You need wins whenever you can get them.
The markings of a good team is you beat the bad teams. Like you can only play who's in front of you. I felt like this, to me, this game was never in question, because like if you telling me you're a good team, right? We still have CJ, you still have Jonas, you got Trey, you got the second line, so to speak. This game went how I thought it should go. That's the only thing I have to say. But like it's no real critique about it. They just beat a bad team.
I mean, Chaz, some people on Twitter and social media were upset about the fourth quarter and the way it finished, but when you're up 30-something points, there's usually a letdown. Now, the fourth quarter wasn't that great. Are you really worried about that performance there in the second half, or are you more impressed with what happened in the first three quarters of the game?
Neither. I think the only thing that impressed me was the lead got down to 19 and Willie Green called a timeout. Like, other than that, I don't take anything away from this game at all.
So not even Najee? You're not even Najee?
I think Najee's been consistently, I think he's been a reliable off the bench glue guy for the majority of the season. There were some guys you would have liked to see do a little more with this opportunity, but aside from that, just take the win and go home.
Can I throw a stat at you real quick, Traz?
Go ahead.
In his last 10 games, CJ McCollum shooting 50% from deep.
So he's shooting 50% from deep?
Yeah.
It's great. It's what he's paid to do. There. It's awesome.
I mean, Ross, does he look a little more springy? Like, I know he went through the flu and he went through COVID. His legs seem back. I mean, he's been really good.
Yeah, and you notice in his shot. Like, it seems to really stand out for me. He just has a little more lift, a little more elevation. I feel like you can really tell when he's not right, because that jumper gets flat. The last few weeks it just hadn't been. So no, I think I'm a mix between Lito and Chaz for this one. Not a lot to take away from beating a bad team and a bad franchise, other than, I think are we 5-1 without Ingram and Zion this year?
What's that? It's either 5. It might be 5-2. I don't know. It's
either
close.
way. That to me is the mark of a good team and a good franchise. Doesn't matter who's there. Doesn't matter who's hurt. New guys come in and start. Doesn't matter. And you still find a way to play well and win. I mean, other than that, the Rockets are a bad team. I mean, and they're a bad franchise. That's more like, I would enjoy spending more time today talking about how bad. Like, imagine getting the top pick or like a top 2 or 3 pick in every draft, and you still just get bludgeoned by. I mean, call a spade a spade. You got beat down by what amounts to basically our second unit. It's bad shape.
Free Jabari Smith. Free him.
Oh, here we go. I'm going to throw a couple of records at you. By the way, Ross, it's 5-1 without Brandon and Zion.
That's a good number. That's
a really good number.
That's something to be proud of.
The one loss must be that Phoenix game, I guess. That first Phoenix game.
In Phoenix, I think.
Yeah.
Phoenix to Zion. Yeah. Because Zion and Brandon missed those games. Another record that's pretty impressive, Lito, of this team: 17-4 at home. Their best record through 21 games in franchise history. Talk about, we've struggled, especially this fan base struggled, like getting everyone to buy in from this city. Well, this year it's different, right? I feel like, again, tonight it was It was a Wednesday night against the Houston Rockets. Like no Zion, no Brandon. You could have given any excuse not to go to that game, but the stadium looked packed again tonight. And they're defending home court. And once again, that's another sign of a really good team.
I mean, the 17-4 thing. I mean, we haven't been good. Like this fan base has been in hell for a long time, and it's really nice to see things turning around. I mean, all right, look, right, you beat a bad team tonight, but I think that was Brandon Ingram's 19th game that he missed, if I'm not mistaken. You missed 19 games. Brandon Ingram misses 19 games, right? And you're still third in the West. Right?
How many Zion missed now? Is he at 7 or 8?
I think it's still single digits.
I want to say this might have been 9 today. Tonight might have been 9.
Go ahead, Lito. Sorry, but
no, you good. I'm just saying, against those odds in previous years, like we would have folded. We would have been in a bad position. We wouldn't have had the depth. Yo, Najee Marshall is probably. I saw somebody tweet this tonight. I can't think of who it was, so forgive me. Somebody said between 2009 and 2019.
I saw that. I know exactly.
Najee Marshall is the wing that we've always been like. We'd a dream to have him as a starting. You know what I'm saying? A starting. Forgive me, whoever you are. Like that was a great tweet. But yeah, like we were in that kind of hell. You know what I'm saying? No offense to Najee, but like this is. The rosters is we still want some things and things can always be different. But man, 17-4, like third in the West, Brandon 19 straight games missed. Like you got to take it. I'm good.
17. I mean that's an impressive record, Chaz. Now let's talk about the next 2 games because they ain't gonna be the Houston Rockets. It's gonna be the Brooklyn Nets, probably the best team in the league right now, with Kevin Durant, who people didn't want in this fan base. I won't name names, but there were people that did not want Kevin Durant on this team. Anyways, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving playing really well. And then you have to go on a back-to-back to Dallas, go face Luka Doncic. What do you expect? I mean, we need to probably brace ourselves here. Those are 2 really good teams with some firepower on those rosters. What are you expecting of these next 2?
I would like to see some strategy deployed, right? If I saw what I saw tonight, especially in the third going into the fourth, I saw a tired team. Like with the Pelicans look tired to me. Like to kind of end the game, I wanted CJ and JV to get some more rest in that late third, fourth, but of course that wasn't available. I would like to see them punt this Brooklyn game and just focus on Dallas. Like just focus on Dallas. Play the games that you have more of a chance, try to get Dallas. Who's the other teams? Detroit,
Cleveland.
Washington. I would target Dallas, Washington, and Detroit. Everything else, I would be, plan for health. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Chaz, let me ask you a question. You said you said you would like to see him as far as like JV and CJ tonight, you like to see him rest, but it wasn't available. Why you think it wasn't available?
I think the guys kind of fell in love with the 3. That was something I was kind of warning against on the playback. I think the only way a team like the Rockets can beat you is by you falling into that trap of shooting threes because they have better shooters than you, right? They got a lot of young guys. They're not gonna really just give up necessarily. They're not good, but they're not gonna give up. So I think that's what happened. This not playing disciplined basketball, too much home run basketball. And you could tell by the way a lot of the shots were hitting the front of the rim. So you can see like guys didn't really have their legs necessarily. And some guys just aren't offensive threats. You know what I'm saying? So once they turn into a pumpkin, things kind of slow down.
Yeah, I think there's what I'm really nervous about Brandon return. There was a lineup out there tonight. It was Najee, nasty. Dyson, Billy Hayes, and I think like Jose. I was like, oh, like
it was
what
offensive.
is this? What does this look like against Brooklyn? Ross, Brandon, I don't think he comes back Friday. Hoping Saturday or next week. What I did see though is that he is ramping up he looks to be making more basketball moves.
That's a steep ramp. That ramp is steep.
I'm trying here, Chaz. Before we get into that, company burger located 4,600 for extra seats. Ross, Brandon Ingram should be coming back soon. Do you think it's going to take him a little bit of time to get back into a rhythm, or do you think he kind of hits the ground running? Because hold up, I know Chaz laughing. He did miss those 12 games down the stretch, and then I think he came back against the Spurs in the playing game and went off. So are you a little bit worried about that?
No, I'm not.
What do you see
because
mad?
Zion's not gonna be there when he comes back. Like I've sort of been saying. I mean, I feel like this was terrible to say. I don't think he was waiting for this, but I think he's coming back into a comfort zone. I really do. I mean, he's going to come back in and be the lead guy. He doesn't have to change his game at all. He can sort of play the way that we've continued to play over the last year or so. I don't. Yeah. No, I don't. I don't expect there to be any issues or any change at all.
I feel like you're dancing around the question. Can Brandon Ingram and Zion?
I just want him to.
Can they show?
How do we not? Who can answer that question? Find me the person that can definitively answer that question comfortably right now.
It's 93 games together. Is that?
It's probably, I think it's
this year.
Along those lines. No, CJ, Brandon, and Zion played 10 games total, 175 minutes together.
That's what I'm saying. It's just not enough, so I can't answer that question. But I just do want to go back to the thing Chaz was saying. I don't think there's any way they punt Friday. That's a nationally televised.
I was
game.
just thinking about that.
Oh, it's national. Oh God!
And it's a home game. I think if anything, I don't totally disagree with the premise of. I think when you have two pieces this important out, I think you do have to look at the schedule and find opportunities. I mean, look, the good teams have been doing that forever. I mean, the Spurs have always done it. The Heat have always done it. I think during this little period, you've got to be smart. I don't think it's Friday, just given the sort of national tone of, the way people are sort of loving on the Pelicans right now. I definitely don't think you'll see it on Friday or Saturday. I would be looking at that Wednesday game against the Celtics. And I mean, I'd run a skeleton crew out there. Because I think you've got. I mean, I think you can beat the Nets at home. We played so well at home. I think that's a very winnable game. And I don't. The Mavericks just don't scare me. And then you got the Wizards.
And if
then you have the Wizards.
They beat the Mavericks without Brandon and Zion, by the way, earlier.
Right, and then you've got the Wizards, and then you've got that midweek game in Boston. Like that's just probably a game we're not winning right now without Brandon and Zion.
Boston hasn't been that great either. I mean, they hadn't,
but then you come home after that to play Detroit. It's just if I was looking at the next 5 games, and I could give CJ and JV a night off on that Wednesday road game in Boston, give them 2 or 3 extra days. That's like the biggest no-brainer to me. But
no, those are both great points.
I would love to see Brandon play one of these games.
But yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, if this goes another 5 games or something, I think there's going to be a little level of frustration past where we're at right now.
I mean, Lita, Brandon should be back by next week. He still hasn't gotten a full practice in, but I feel like he should be back by next week.
I mean, what do I say to that? Like,
I don't know. I'm just trying to.
I don't.
Let me say this, Justin.
Who should he return?
Just hear me out. Let me just say this, because this is I made this point last year a bunch of times with Zion, and I think I finally got you on board with it. And it's kind of like ringing true for the way I feel about Brandon right now. Is that I'm not saying he doesn't want to play. Okay, I thought Zion wanted to play too. I just don't see I'm not feeling the hunger to get out there and play. Like when Giannis misses a game or misses time, it feels different. Like I feel like you see things and he's like sweating his ass off before the games and like doing all this stuff. Like I hadn't seen a lot of that, and I don't feel that like, man, I've got to play tomorrow. Sensation. Maybe it's there. Okay, I'm not in the facility. I don't know Brandon Ingram personally. I'm just saying as a third party external person that watches all the games, pays pretty close attention to it. Like I just don't feel that burn. Like is he burning to play? Like is he dying? Is it killing him missing games?
Lito, how does that make you feel?
It's disappointing. I feel like I'm captain of the Brandon Hive. You know what I'm saying? And man, like I just want him to play. Like that's it. Like I just want him to play. But at the same time, he hasn't he ha- he hasn't said anything to the public, right? He hasn't really given a statement. So I've never heard him say his side of it. Right. I know they're saying a toe contusion is the cause of it, but like, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. I don't know. I would like Brandon to play. Like we need Brandon.
Well, that was my next point, Chaz. And we'll wrap up in the next like 5-7 minutes. But say we're, in May, we're in the playoffs, top 4 seed, whatever. Are we gonna harp on this, or are we just gonna get over this if Brandon just picks up where he left off and goes? Like, is it really? If he doesn't feel 100%, that's just who Brandon is. I mean, it seems like he likes his time off. If he comes back and he shits the bed and it's not that great, oh damn, and it's not that great, okay, then he's gonna take some backlash. But if he picks up where he left off, does this really matter?
It depends on who you ask that question to. You ask it to objective, sensible people, yes, it still will matter. You ask it to your average fan, it won't matter. Because if Brandon comes back, right, and the chemistry is still off, the excuse is gonna be, well, they didn't have enough time together, and da 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 da. It's just like, come on, bro. Like I tend to agree with Ross's sentiment because I'm of the opinion that certain players are allowed a certain amount of leeway, right?
Mm-hmm.
Guys who like won on major stages or have won consistently, you kind of give them a little more grace to do certain things versus others. But again, if Brandon is like, if he really is like hurt to that point, which I have no reason to doubt that he is, then you kind of just live with it at this point. And even if he came back tomorrow, you still couldn't even evaluate the team because now Zion's out. So it's just a repetitive cycle of the same issue.
Chaz, I don't mean to cut you off because Lito made a great point too. Do you think it's actually a toe contusion, or do you think it's something greater? Because he's now missed 20 games.
Before you answer that, Chaz, I wish there was more. I think that's part of my like frustration is that I wish there was more clarity. The team is just playing so well, and there's so much positivity around it. I just wish there was more, like it's okay if you're hurt to still speak to the media. It's okay to be like a little more transparent.
Well, they don't have to. They don't have to.
I know they don't have to, but I'm saying it makes the situation better. Like we saw what can happen to a situation like this last year.
Exactly. Right.
When you duck off and hide, bad things.
Right.
You allow people's imaginations to run wild. Like, because if you tell me, like, you know what a toe contusion sounds like to me? It sounds like you bruised your toe.
It sounds like a contusion of like the hip. Like
I'm not a doctor, but a toe contusion to me is a bruised toe. You start talking about 19 games for a bruised toe. Like I'm with. I mean, I think Chad said it. That's a second ago. Like I don't necessarily have a reason to believe that he's not actually hurting. But to your point, is it a bruised toe? Like, or is there like a slightly torn ligament that you're repairing? Like that's cool either way.
But you just want to know. So I mean, it's just less
because you're just hanging around and like, is he playing? He's like, but he's practicing. He's getting some jumpers. There's just that like total.
The weird thing was
now you're talking about 19 games.
Weird thing to me was the setback, because we're talking like, how do you have a setback on a contusion, Lito? And I think like we can wrap it up here, but that's where I was confused, because it doesn't, to me. I mean, once again, I'm not a doctor, but then like what is a contusion? I feel like it's just very broad, because I feel like he wants to play. Like,
yeah, for sure. I don't doubt that. And from what I'm hearing, Brandon he's sounding like a guy who feels like if his body isn't 100%, if it's not the way he wants it to be, then he doesn't want to put it at any, he doesn't want to put any more pressure on it, I guess. Now, I see Chad shaking his head, and I feel you. Like, I understand. Like, you would rather, for me, like Ross said, right? I rather, not trying to get in your personal life at all, but I rather you just tell us what's going on with your foot, than rather to have the media run wild with it. Rather have fans assume it. Rather have whatever. I think that's the thing. And again, I'm not saying he's not injured. I feel like we saying we just want clarification on exactly like what the injury is. But let me say this, Justin, before we get out of here, I gotta shout out. I want to say this. Trey Murphy, he shot 8 threes tonight. I don't remember if that's his career high in threes attempted, but I want more of it. I want him to do more of that.
Did you think he was more aggressive tonight? Because
Yes,
when he's on the
absolutely.
floor with Zion and Brandon, he's more of like a stationary shooter. Tonight, you saw a little more activity. Now, can he put that activity off ball with CJ and Brandon? Like that and
Man,
Zion. That's the
I
key
feel
right there.
I feel like the thing is with Trey is the thing we've been asking for is yes, he can shoot. Shout out to Jose. Yes, he can shoot, but you're an athlete. You're an athlete. Be athletic. Do all the things. Like he put my guy on a poster tonight. Like he put Jabari on a poster. He was attacking the rim. He still didn't have any rebounds, but I guess I got to give up something to get something. So, you know what I'm saying? But like, and while we here, shout out to Najee, right? Najee was Najee. Najee was Najee. He always comes. I want everybody to have that intensity, have that same mentality. Just come prepared every game, no matter who's playing.
Najee deserves a raise.
Wait, hold up.
Incredible.
I mean, you're giving out all these shout outs, and you don't even shout out Herb Jones, who scores over 1,000 per points tonight. I mean, that's the Herb Jones hate has been a little wild on social media. It's very odd.
I thought Herb played well. Knocked down a three.
He's fine. He's
Played
a good
some
defender.
really good defense. Yeah, I would
he
argue he's a
well
great
last game.
defender. Yeah, I thought he was so good last game.
Like
people just look at the box score like he can't shoot.
Yeah, you made a really good point during that little stretch. Sorry, just real quick. During that little stretch, 4 or 5 games there, when I guess maybe right when Vi went out in November, when Trey was playing really well. Over that 4-game stretch, he averaged like 10, 11 3-point attempts a game. Yeah, I think he averaged a little over 20 points, and we won all 4 of those games. So, to your point, I mean, that's really the only little run in here I can find. I mean, there might have been one other game where he took more than 8, but I mean, yeah. So the best stretch he had of the year, he was getting up more threes. So you might be onto something there.
He gets up more. I mean, from what I'm seeing in the data, right? Like if he shoots more threes, if CJ shoots more threes, we win those games.
Yeah, I think CJ's shot selection has been way better in the last week and a half.
I thought tonight it was really good.
He's just more of in a rhythm now. He's not forcing. I remember he just kept forcing. He
had a couple of. I think he's playing with a really nice tempo right now too. He had a couple of plays where he wasn't really rushing it. Felt like he made a couple of nice little dump offs to JV. Kind of letting the defense come to him and letting the offense come to him and reacting to the defense a little better. Sometimes I find in those situations he wants to lean on that step back. And it's like you can get that shot off at any time as opposed to just, playing at your own pace and seeing what opens up. I thought he did a great job of that tonight. In fact, we got some really easy buckets.
I think when you know you're going to get your shots, when you're CJ, when you're not like the third option, like when you know you're going to be able to put some shots up, you're able to pace yourself a little bit better as well.
Yeah, they all three got to play together. They got to figure it out.
Yeah,
when you playing with them two, especially coming back from COVID, like he's pressing because there's no. Yeah. I don't know if there's a hierarchy. He just kind of got to get in where he fit in. But like I feel like 2 things. Then that's all I got. We were up so big. I wish we could have seen Kyra, and I wish maybe Seaburn would have got some minutes also.
Yeah. I mean, you're probably going to see those 2 actually on the floor in the next couple games. I can probably guarantee that.
Especially with Dyson playing.
Last stat. Jackson Hayes 7 rebounds, 2 blocks tonight. More positive stuff.
I thought Jax had thought they got him involved early. He had some good rebounds.
He didn't light up the box score, but he did good things. Like,
he
continuously keeps doing good things. 2 or 3 from the field. He rebounded his ass. He was very active on the. He didn't get a lot of offensive rebounds, but he was very active. He was crashing. Like he made it a point that he was going to crash the rim tonight. So I'd love to see that because they're going to need him. They're going to need him to be productive over these next 2 or 3 weeks.
Good help defense.
Yeah,
for sure. If you this is my thing with Jax, right? If you want minutes, right? You look at what Billy does when Billy gets in the game, and you match that shit. He matched
him in rebounds tonight.
He matched him in rebounds. And I think Jax was, like both of them were a +7 also. I think Jose was the highest. I think he was a plus 14, but like match his energy, match his effort. He's not a better
Yeah.
like you're the most athletic guy. Well, I mean, obviously Zion is on the team, but I'm saying like other than that, like you have a unique set of skills. Like you can do things that the other bigs can't do.
Yeah, it was good to see. Anyone, Ross?
I was just saying, no, before you sign us off, I did want to give a shout out to had my daughter at her tennis practice today and had a guy stop me. I did not have anything Propels talk on. And he said, guy just stopped me. I guess he recognized us from doing these things and said he loved the show. I didn't get his name. That was my fault. But just gave a big shout out to all you guys. Said he loves the show. Always good to get that kind of
Appreciate that.
little
I
pat
mean,
on the
hey,
back.
also
I should have got his name. That's my fault. But if you're watching this guy from City Park, plays tennis, give us a holler.
Appreciate you, random sir.
And also, congratulations to you, Ross. Tulane with an unbelievable Cotton Bowl victory. You unfortunately didn't get to go after a cancellation of an air flight. We won't have to talk about that. But hey, Tulane
Hell of a
Cotton Bowl
game, though.
champs, dude.
Hell of
that
a
was
game.
sick.
And then I saw the video of Fritz at the game tonight. That was great.
You see roll?
I
Did
did.
you see Willie?
I
Willie
think that was
Fritz's-
I think that was a very white roll wave. That was great. I appreciated that.
And that's how we're going to sign off. Pelicans win 119-108, presented to you by DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of Boot Crew Media. Make any new users use code BOOT. Make any $5 bet, and you can win $150 in free bets at DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of Boot Crew Media and the NBA. Also, shout out to Company Burger, located at 4600 Ferret Street and Birdsall Law Firm. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Let's hear your thoughts on the Pelicans win. See y'all later.